The land of Israel and Palestine is no ordinary strip of earth. It is a battleground where the threads of history, prophecy, and faith intertwine in ways that challenge human comprehension. For some, it is a political dispute over borders and national identity. For others, it is an ancient spiritual war that predates the nations themselves, rooted in divine covenants and cosmic conflict. But no matter how one views it, this struggle is among the most enduring and emotionally charged in the history of mankind. From the distant echoes of ancient promises made to Abraham to the fiery clashes of modern-day geopolitics, the conflict between these two peoples stretches back across millennia. To understand its origins, we must journey into the heart of biblical history, where the seeds of rivalry were sown in the family of a man chosen by God to birth nations. Abraham, revered as the father of both Jews and Arabs, was promised by God that his descendants would inherit a land flowing with milk and honey, a divine covenant that would change the course of human history. Yet, this covenant would not come without pain. Abraham fathered two sons, Isaac and Ishmael, through whom two great nations would arise. The Bible declares that God's covenant promise would pass through Isaac, making his descendants, the Israelites, the chosen people to inherit the land of Canaan. But Ishmael was not forgotten. God also blessed him, promising that his descendants would become a great nation, a promise often seen as fulfilled in the Arab peoples, including the Palestinians. This familial division would become the bedrock of an unrelenting struggle over divine inheritance. The land itself is no mere territory, it is a living symbol of these divine promises. For the Jewish people, it is the physical manifestation of God's everlasting covenant, reaffirmed through Isaac, Jacob, and the prophets. For Palestinians, the land represents centuries of ancestral ties, a home intertwined with their very identity. It is a land promised, claimed, and fought over, a land that binds and divides. As we trace the threads of this conflict, the past and present collide in profound ways. The biblical prophecies of restoration, exile, and divine judgment seem to echo in the modern-day events surrounding the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, the wars that followed, and the ongoing territorial disputes. For Christians, Jews, and Muslims alike, Jerusalem stands at the heart of this battle, a city sacred to all, yet claimed by each. This conflict, however, transcends human politics. For those who believe in the divine plan, it is not merely a war over soil, but a struggle within the spiritual realms, where the forces of good and evil clash over God's covenant. It is a battle of faith, identity, and destiny, a war written in the stars and inscribed in the hearts of billions. Today, we embark on a journey to uncover the origins of this enmity, diving deep into the biblical stories, ancient promises, and unfolding prophecies that continue to shape the conflict. The story is far from over, and its end may hold the key to understanding not just the past, but the destiny of the entire world. Stay with us as we explore the roots of this divine and human drama, one that refuses to fade with time. The eternal conflict, a tale of promises and prophecies. In the beginning, God called forth a man named Abraham and made with him a covenant so profound that its echoes would shape the destiny of nations and the course of human history. God said to Abraham, "Leave your country, your people, and your father's household and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and to your offspring I will give this land forever." Genesis 12 verses 1 to 3. This land, the land of Canaan, was to be an everlasting inheritance for Abraham's descendants, holy ground where the divine plan would unfold. But even as the promise was spoken, a seed of division was planted, a division that would birth a conflict stretching across millennia. The two sons, the legacy divided. Abraham, the father of many nations, had two sons. Ishmael, born of Hagar, his Egyptian servant, and Isaac, the miraculous child born to Sarah, his wife, in their old age. the Lord declared. My covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear to you. Genesis 17 verse 19. Isaac would be the father of Jacob, whose descendants would become the nation of Israel, God's chosen people. Yet Ishmael was not forsaken. To Hagar, the angel of the Lord proclaimed, I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count. Genesis 16 verse 10. Ishmael's lineage would give rise to the Arab peoples, who would also lay claim to Abraham as their forefather and to the land of Canaan as part of their divine heritage. Thus, the conflict was born. Two peoples, each tracing their ancestry to Abraham, each claiming divine promises, and each regarding the same land as their rightful inheritance. The covenant land. A divine and human battleground. For the descendants of Isaac, the land of Israel was not merely territory but a sacred trust, a fulfillment of God's unchanging word. The prophet spoke of this land as central to God's plan for his people. To your descendants, I give this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates. Genesis 15 verse 18. It was the promised land, a physical manifestation of God's covenant and blessing. For the descendants of Ishmael, the land was no less significant. For centuries, they lived, worked, and worshipped on this soil, forging an identity tied to the ancient ground of Canaan. To them, the land was not only home but a birthright passed down through the ages. This sacred territory became the stage for one of history's most bitter rivalries. It was not merely a battle for borders but a clash of identities, faiths, and divine promises. The turning point. 1948 and the birth of modern Israel. In the aftermath of the horrors of World War II and the Holocaust, the Jewish people, long scattered across the earth, saw the fulfillment of ancient prophecy. In 1948, the State of Israel was declared, and for many, it was a miraculous restoration foretold by the prophets. Ezekiel's vision of the valley of dry bones seemed to come alive. I will put my spirit in you, and you will live, and I will settle you in your own land. Ezekiel 37 verse 14. For the Jewish people, this was the long-awaited return to their ancestral homeland. The land promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But for the Palestinians, it was the Nakba, the catastrophe. Over 700,000 Palestinians were displaced, their villages destroyed, and their lives uprooted. This was not merely a geopolitical shift, it was a human tragedy that left scars on the collective soul of a people. The Six-Day War. Expanding the borders of prophecy. 19 years later, in 1967, the Six-Day War reshaped the map of the Middle East. In a swift and decisive victory, Israel captured the West Bank, Gaza Strip, East Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights. For many, this was another sign of divine intervention, as Israel reclaimed land central to biblical prophecy. The capture of East Jerusalem was especially significant. The city that King David made his capital, the city where Solomon built the temple, was now under Jewish control. The Western Wall, the holiest site in Judaism, was restored to the Jewish people. Zechariah's prophecy seemed to resonate. Jerusalem will remain in its place. From the Benjamin Gate to the site of the first gate, Zechariah 14 verse 10. Yet for the Palestinians, the war deepened their displacement and suffering. The occupation of the West Bank and Gaza became a daily reality, fueling decades of resentment and resistance. A spiritual war beyond borders. For Christians, the conflict is more than political. It is deeply spiritual. The covenant God made with Abraham and his descendants was not just about a people, but about a divine plan that would unfold across the ages. Jerusalem, the city where God placed his name, holds unparalleled significance. The prophets foretold that it would be the epicenter of end times events. In Zechariah, the Lord declares, I will make Jerusalem a cup that sends all the surrounding peoples reeling. On that day, I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock for all the nations. Zechariah 12 verses 2-3. This prophecy seems to mirror the modern struggle, where Jerusalem remains a point of contention between Israelis and Palestinians, and indeed, a source of global tension. For many Christians, the restoration of Israel and the ongoing conflict over Jerusalem are signs that we are living in prophetic times. The Bible speaks of a final battle in the Valley of Armageddon, with Jerusalem at the heart of the confrontation. Revelation describes this ultimate clash, where Christ will return to establish his kingdom. Then I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. The one sitting on it is called Faithful and True. Revelation 19 verse 11. The eternal question, a conflict without end. The Israel-Palestine conflict is a story of promises and prophecies, of faith and division, of divine plans and human choices. It is a reminder of the profound consequences of covenant and disobedience, of blessings and curses. Will this conflict find resolution on earth, or will it only be resolved in the heavens? For those who believe in the Bible, the answer lies in God's ultimate plan, a plan that no human power can alter. Until that day, the land of Israel and Palestine remains a land divided, a battleground of history and destiny.